While most gamers are out still looking for a PS5 or they're jamming on their PS5, the PlayStation 3 is still relevant.
The good old Sony PlayStation 3, Sony's third console. This console is really fun, even though when it came out, I was a 360 guy.
Our PS3 videos go through the roof. Don't know why, but I think it's because the PS3 still plays so great in 2022.
Today, we are going to talk about 10 must-play PS3, PlayStation 3 exclusives. Very niche down topic. And before you even get upset, and before you even say, why didn't you talk about this, why didn't you talk about this? These are console exclusive games. So, Last of Us, I know it was revolutionary. It's an amazing game. I love it. Will not be on this list because it's been remastered and reported. Games like that will not be on this list because you can play them elsewhere.
God of War 3, nope, not on this list because it was remastered and released on the PS4. Do you get the drift?
These are games that are locked into the console, and I know you can be like, well, if you hack your system or if you're a PC gamer, you could. For the casual at-home gamer, they're locked into the PS3. Let's get into it. 10 must-play PlayStation 3 exclusives. The first one. This game is a great family game, and I played this game so much with my buddy during this era, and that's Little Big Planet 2. The story mode is really fun. It's really unique. It's kind of a kiddie game, but back in the day, and I don't know if the servers are still on, back in the day, playing people's customized maps was so much fun because it was just pure chaos. I don't know if you can still do that, but the campaign and story is really fun. This would be a great game if you have like young kids to just work together.
The co-op, though, in my opinion, is where this game thrives, and with a lot of these, insert your favorite Little Big Planet game here. I think they're all awesome. 2 is the one that resonated with me the most. It's just fun. A fun platformer, very unique, infinite customization abilities. You know, the online stuff, there's not as many people on. Some of them you can't even get online anymore. But Little Big Planet 2 is an awesome exclusive. And if you were to just say, I've never played a Little Big Planet game and there's one that I need to jump into, I'd go with 2. Fun part about this game is it's dirt freaking cheap, as is most of the games on this list.
This next game scratches that God of War 3 itch. God of War 3 is better, but this game is exclusive, and that's Heavenly Sword. This game is badass, and I love a game that has a badass, strong woman as like the lead, and that's Heavenly Sword.
I think it's pretty safe to say that this era, Generation 7, perfected hack and slash video games. You got so many good ones. The God of War games obviously rise to the top. Not a super cheap game, but not going to run you a lot either. You should be able to get into this game for about $15. A lot of fun. It is worth noting, you need an original PS3 controller with the tilt access or whatever the heck it was called.
We use the third-party Afterglow controllers, so when we got to this part in the game, we were like, oh crap, we gotta switch controllers. So that's like the only notch on this game.
If you're used to that God of War style, that's what you're gonna get with Heavenly Sword. It's not on that level, but it's still really damn good. Very rewarding, very fun. Just an awesome exclusive that we find all the time.
This next game is a fantastic racer, and I could freaking play this for hours.
Motorstorm Pacific Rift. Now, any of the Motorstorm games, I think you could put in this spot. Even the first one, which there was a lot of pack-ins with that game. So a lot of them you find will say not for resale. Motorstorm is so fun.
The first one is serviceable. The first one is really fun, but I will say the first one suffers hardcore with load times, and it just feels laggy, and Pacific Rift buffs all that out. Beautiful game. I just love the customization, all the different tracks, all the different carts you can play as, or cars.
It just makes you want to keep playing. You know that next race you can do better. I think the physics in this game is what makes it thrive. You know, you're gonna feel like you're pretty solid when you're racing in a buggy or a car or a truck until you roll it. Or you're gonna feel like you're super fast when you're on a motorcycle until you fly off the map. And it's so fun. It's hard to find games that when you get first place, you really feel like you did something special and you're a badass. Motorstorm does it. I think there's 3 games in the series on the console. The original Pacific Rift and Apocalypse. Pacific Rift, if you can, is the way to go. The last 2 that I mentioned are a little more expensive, but the original, I mean, shit, you can find that game for damn near free. So it's everywhere. Amazing series, and for a channel that does not love racing games, this is the coup d'etat, the gabagool.
This next game revolutionized the console, I feel like, because I remember when this came out, My college roommate had it, and I was like, dude, what is this? I'd never seen anything like it before.
I would have to go back and look at a timeline of releases, but I feel like this game or this series pioneered what we know as superhero games today. And that's Infamous. We're going to go with the first one here. Infamous 2 is awesome. But Infamous, the first one, I think set the table for how superhero games were going to be made going forward. And what I mean by that is like your Arkham Asylum type of games, or even your Marvel Spider-Man games. I'm not saying those games aren't more grandiose than this, but this was like the Godfather. Oddly enough, Sony just created its own superhero story with Infamous.
You literally felt like you were the guy in the game because he's trying to figure out what's going on while you're trying to figure out what's going on. You got like these electricity superpower-esque, it's the end of the world, like apocalypse style. This game is gorgeous. It plays great. You just feel so badass when you're playing this game.
And if you played this game when it came out, it would have blown your mind. Still to this day, when you go back and play it, you're like, this is really freaking cool. And there's some things that, grinding the power lines and that levitating with the lightning, they just feel so organic and like this is how a video game should feel.
If you never got around to playing Infamous, highly, highly recommend, dude. It is incredible, and it's locked on the PS3, so even more reason to go back to it.
Another scenario, if you could insert a game from this series here, we went with, on our list, Ratchet and Clank All for One. Why? Because it's the most unique Ratchet and Clank game in the series, and if you're a co-op fan, this one's for you.
This is up to 4-player couch co-op. 4-player couch co-op Ratchet and Clank game? What? Yeah, All for One is amazing. If you like couch co-op games and you like Ratchet and Clank, this is a no-brainer. This is so much freaking fun.
It's more of a third-person shooter than it is a typical Ratchet and Clank game. It's hard to explain, but if you've played it, you know what we're talking about. Back when the online lobbies were fired up and people were in there and it was going crazy, this game offered obviously that extra layer. I think the servers might still be up on this, but I don't think it's as populated as it was. Could be wrong on that. Haven't even tried. But Robert and I love playing this game co-op.
It is just so good. The story's really cool. It's really unique. If you're a fan of the Ratchet and Clank games, All for One is fantastic. Get some buddies around, grab some cold beer, have some fun.
The Resistance series on the PS3. I think the apex of the series is Resistance 2. The co-op campaign capabilities, although the interface of the game getting into a co-op game might take you a little bit of doing because it's not super intuitive. This generation struggled with that a lot. I feel like it wasn't like, oh, that's what we do to play co-op. And once you get in there, the co-op aspect of this game, be ready because it has a level up mechanic, and until you're leveled up, you're gonna get smoked. Once you get leveled up, things start making a little more sense. You can progress through the game.
If you're a PS3 fan and a fan of first-person shooters and that sci-fi era, Resistance 2, I think, is a must freaking play. This game is so good. I love the storytelling. It just plays great. This is like one of those games that you put it in, you're like, oh, PS3, that's old gen. You put it doesn't feel like it's old gen. This feels like it's maybe a PS4 game. Like, it's awesome. Resistance 2 is fantastic.
I remember the original Resistance Fall of Man. It was I think a release, original release for the PlayStation 3. Launch title would be the operative word that I'm looking for. And I love that, and I rented it, and I thought it was really cool, and then I got Resistance 2. And it was a game changer. There is a third in the series that I think incorporates the 3D component, but this is the apex of the series, and it's a lot of fun. Not a super expensive title, and again, a lot of the ones we go with, they offer that co-op piece, which is a lost art in most modern gaming. You may say, well, they're co-op online. No, we're talking couch co-op here. With the games that we're referencing co-op, you could do it online too, but the couch co-op piece, this is kind of the swan song of that era.
This next game is also a first-person shooter, and it's a Sony exclusive, obviously, because it's locked in the PS3. Killzone 2. The Killzone series is fantastic. This also kind of reminds me of Halo. I think they were just trying to compete, Gears of War and Halo, because that Xbox, that took over. So they're like, Resistance, Killzone. They were just trying. They didn't quite get that far, because Gears of War and Halo are fantastic. But Killzone 2 is also fantastic. I would highly recommend this game.
And I think Killzone 2 is the best in the series. The Vita version is pretty good too. Was it Mercenaries? Killzone Mercenaries? Something like that. I digress. This isn't a Vita episode. But Killzone 2 is a lot of fun. Really good story. The storytelling in this game reminds me of Gears of War a little bit. Gameplay reminds me of, not Gears of War, but I'm just saying the way they tell the story. Beautiful game. pushing the PS3 to the max, I feel like.
This is another one of those games that's like Resistance, where it feels like this could be a PS4 game. Like, you put it in and you go, oh wow, like it looks great, it plays great. If you're a fan of first-person shooters and you have a PS3, Killzone 2, or any of them, but I'm going to say Killzone 2, highly, highly recommend.
The lack of multiplayer locally really bothers me with this whole series. I've always wondered, why wasn't there co-op campaigns? Were they just pushing the hardware too hard and they couldn't work that in there? Or why isn't there 4-player split screen or 2-player split screen with bots? I don't know. And it used to really turn me off towards the Killzone series, but as I've gotten older and like looking for things to play, on my PS3 to keep that dream alive. PS3 alive, yeah. Killzone is actually really good, and Killzone 2, super cheap game. If you like first-person shooters and you want to check it out, you'll be happy with it.
This next game is one of the best games on the console, exclusive to the console. Metal Gear Solid 4. Konami, Hideo Kojima. This game is beautiful. This game is incredible. The pacing, the storytelling, just the way it starts you off with, like, initially, you go, what the heck is happening? Like, it breaks the fourth wall a little bit. There's like an interview with David Hayter, and then it throws you into the game, and then there's all these flashbacks. It's incredible.
It really felt like the end of the series. There's some games that end a series, whether they do or they don't. It feels like the end of the traditional way of the series as you know it. And we all know when Metal Gear Solid 5 came out, they went with Kiefer Sutherland instead of David Hayter as the voice of Snake, and that really just changed things for me. And even the gameplay in Metal Gear Solid 5 is fine. It's a good game. But 4 was it. That's the last game in the series, in my opinion, of Metal Gear how we knew it. And Snake's old. You're sensing end is very near. The storytelling is profound.
It feels like the finale because of the pacing. Like, if you've ever played like R-Type Final, I know it's a different style of game, but it has that pacing where it's like, this is the end. It's not, obviously, same with R-Type Final, not the end, but it feels like that.
The gameplay is just surreal. This game took things to the next level. I remember feeling like the technological leap. It reminded me of what I felt when Metal Gear Solid 2 came out, because I felt like that was a huge leap forward. And then I felt like 4 did the same thing. It's crazy to me that this game, I would have to check price charting, but I think it's like a $5 game. Blows my freaking mind. This game's epic. It's one of the best PS3 games, in my opinion, hands down.
Another thing that's really unique and weird about Metal Gear Solid 4 is there's all these weird cutscenes where at first you go, what the heck is going on? Like, I can think of one initially when you start the game where like this lady cracks eggs and then they morph together and then that's it, and then it cuts back into the game and you go, what the heck is happening? I mean, obviously it's part of the storytelling and like it's foreshadowing and all this, like but when you first play this game, you're gonna go like, what is going on? Like, what are they trying to do? When you beat the game, it all comes full circle, obviously, but it's such like a mind fuckery. Like, you're like, what is going on? That's what makes this game so freaking good. Hideo Kojima, man, he is a genius.
There's some people in the Metal Gear like community or fans that don't love it, and it kind of bothers me, because yeah, it does some things different, but it's a beautiful game. Reason I bought my PS3, I don't regret it. Still own my original copy, still own the original PS3 I bought with this copy, and it's what got me into Gen 7. Metal Gear Solid 4. If you're a Metal Gear fan and you haven't played it, that's on you.
This next game is a light gun game that's exclusive to the PS3, and that's kind of weird because most light gun games start in the arcade, then get ported to consoles. It's a spin-off of an arcade game. That's Time Crisis Razing Storm. It's kind of a cop-out because obviously this game is exclusive, but it's a bundle and it comes with 2 other light gun games, and one of them is in the arcade, Time Crisis 4. Fantastic game. It also comes with Dead Storm Pirates. Fantastic game.
Now, on our list, this is the most expensive game. I don't know when this happened. I used to find this game everywhere. It used to be dirt cheap. All of a sudden, it's like 40 or 50 bucks for a copy of this game. So you get 3 light gun games in one. Plays great with the Move controllers.
If you're a fan of Time Crisis, it's a must-play. It's exactly what you think it is. It's a Time Crisis game. It's just fun. Is it as good as 4? Is it as good as the other ones? I don't know. It's still really fun, though. And it's locked on the PS3. Like, that's the only way you can play this. Obviously, I mentioned it at the beginning. You can probably hack it and play it on your PC, blah, blah. For home console, this is the only way you can play it. It's not in the arcades. It's exclusive, and it is so much, and we love our light gun games. We talk about them a lot on the channel.
The value you get here, even though it's 40 or 50 bucks, to me, as a light gun fan, that's a no-brainer and an awesome PS3 exclusive.
This last game we've talked about so much on the channel. This game was actually in our PS3 video we did a couple weeks ago, talking about 10 games we're playing in 2022. Twisted Metal. The last Twisted Metal game in the franchise. It is incredible. We've talked about this game so much on the channel, so I don't want to beat a dead horse, but visually it looks great, it plays great, the storytelling, the campaign is so messed up, but it's done so well. It has a co-op campaign, which makes it even better.
It offers an amazing story, very dark, very gory, very messed up. To me, I don't understand why this is the last game, because I loved playing this, because the games on PS1, I loved them from a couch co-op perspective and battling each other and all that type of stuff, but this version of Twisted Metal like took things into that next, it felt like a Gen 7 game. Like they're taking Twisted Metal to the next level, and then they just have left the series just like a tumbleweed in the wind.
And I think if you've never played any of the Twisted Metal games, this would be the one to start with, because it is done so well. It's done so perfectly. The music's great. I could talk about Twisted Metal all day. It just makes me, just talking about it makes me want to play it. Like, it is done so well. The cutscenes, it is so freaking great.
There's 10 PS3 exclusives. They should be on your radar. Maybe you've played them. Maybe you love them. Maybe you're firing things into the comment section saying, yeah, that's my favorite game of all time. And if it is, awesome. Glad it was on our list.
Obviously, this list could have been super cookie cutter. Last of Us, God of War 3, amazing games. They're not exclusives anymore. They were, but they're not.
And in a lot of those cases, those remasters are so similar to the original releases. They just have a little bit of a spit shine on them. So that's how we chose to make our list.
Now time for some honorable mentions. We only have 2 of them, and they're both car racing games, because, I don't know, we must like those right now or something.
If you like battle games, we finished on Twisted Metal, so here you go. Full Auto 2. Check this one out. If you like Burnout and you like Twisted Metal, this game might scratch your itch. It's not on the level of those two, not even close. But it does have that arcade racer, battle racing vibe, and it does it pretty damn well. You'll have a great time. It's a lot of fun. It's just unique that there's a Sega game that's exclusive to the PS3. It was released on the PSP. I think the technological gap there makes this a console exclusive. If it had been released on the Vita, maybe I'd change my mind. But Full Auto 2. And then there's a kart racing game, and they're kind of getting to be a dime a dozen, so that's why this didn't make our list, but it is a lot of fun.
Mod Racers. This game is kind of fun if you're into kart racers, you know, Mario Kart, stuff like that. I mean, obviously Mario Kart took it to the next level, and I'd rather play Mario Kart. But if you're on your PS3, and that's the only console you have, and you want to play a kart racer, Mod Racers is still really fun. It still plays great. The drifting, it just feels and plays like a kart racer should. Obviously, you're going to want to play Mario Kart, but if you don't have an option to play Mario Kart and you're on your PS3, Mod Racers will scratch that itch.
But it just didn't quite make the list because the 10 games that did they're just hammers. And PS3, it's a great time in my opinion. While everybody else is shelling out that cheddar for all these expensive ass games and paying $500 for consoles and $80 for controllers and $70 for games that you can't even find anyways, this stuff is low-hanging fruit. You will find it everywhere. Just open your eyes. Pawn shops, thrift stores, garage sales. You can get into an awesome PS3 setup probably for $100 or less.
We appreciate you watching the channel, supporting the channel. If you want to support us even more, we'll save it to the end. We do have a Patreon. There's a link below.
You don't have to. That's why we saved it for the end of the video. But we appreciate you tuning in and subscribing to the channel. We'll see you next time on another nipple-rubbing episode of Gaming Off the Grid.
And what are you doing still here? Bust out the PS3, get some of these exclusive games, and freaking go play them because they are so much fun. We'll see you next time.